Star Trek finally shares Uhura's post-finale fate with new Starfleet rank. Lieutenant Nyota Uhura has always been one of the most beloved and quietly trailblazing characters in Star Trek history. Played originally by Nichelle Nichols and recently reimagined by Celia Rose Gooding in Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Uhura has long represented grace under pressure, linguistic genius, and strength in a supporting role that often carried more weight than it appeared. Yet for decades, her post-original series fate remained frustratingly vague. Now, Star Trek has finally revealed what became of Uhura after the events of the original series and its subsequent films. Not only does her story continue, but it also concludes with a deeply satisfying promotion that cements her legacy among Starfleet's most respected officers. After years of speculation, canon confusion, and fan theories, Uhura has officially been granted a new Starfleet rank that changes how we see her entire arc. And it's long overdue. A legacy of underrated greatness. Uhura's role in Star Trek, the original series, was groundbreaking in real-world terms. As one of the first black women in a major science fiction role and a central character on a network TV show in the 1960s, Nichelle Nichols' presence shattered racial boundaries. But within the fictional universe of Star Trek, Uhura's story often seemed sidelined. Her skills as a communications officer, polyglot, and cultural bridge were essential to the Enterprise's operations, yet she rarely got the same character-developing spotlight as Kirk, Spock, McCoy, or even Scotty. The TOS movies gave Uhura a bit more to do. Her scenes in Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, and Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country stand out, but even then, she remained largely in the background, a dependable constant rather than a character with evolving personal stakes. Fans waited, decade after decade, for someone to answer the question, what happened to Nyota Uhura? We finally have that answer. The revelation in Star Trek Legacy Files. The long-awaited update came not in a series, but in a surprising medium, Star Trek Legacy Files, a canonical digital reference database integrated with Star Trek Prodigy Season 2. Designed as a new way to flesh out post-Dominion War Starfleet history, the Legacy Files quietly inserted new entries on classic characters. Among them was one entry that sent ripples through fandom. Admiral Nyota Uhura, a director of Starfleet Linguistic Operations, retired. Just like that, Star Trek canon officially confirmed that Uhura not only remained in Starfleet following the events of the TOS films, but she rose through the ranks to achieve the prestigious title of Admiral, a rank often associated with the likes of Kirk, Nechayev, and Janeway. It's a thrilling, emotional revelation, and it fits perfectly. The path to Admiral Uhura. Uhura's promotion may not have played out on screen, but it feels earned in every sense. Throughout her career, she demonstrated a mastery of communications, a deep understanding of alien cultures, and an unwavering ability to mediate high-stakes situations. She was, in every way, the ideal Starfleet officer, calm under pressure, committed to peace, and intellectually gifted. The idea that she eventually rose to become director of Starfleet Linguistic Operations speaks to her legacy not just as a bridge officer, but as a scholar, educator, and innovator. In the same way that Spock eventually served as an ambassador and Sarek became a cornerstone of diplomatic relations, Uhura's career naturally extended beyond starship duty. Her knowledge and experience were too valuable to be confined to a single posting. The Legacy Files note also suggests that Uhura's retirement occurred in the early 2390s, placing her career stretch well into the post-TNG era. That's a timeline where she might have been a mentor figure to younger officers like Hoshi Sato's academic descendants, or even early instructors of Seven of Nine when she joined Starfleet. The possibilities are tantalizing. Uhura's journey, from cadet to cultural pillar. Thanks to Star Trek Strange New Worlds, we've seen a much younger Uhura in training. Celia Rose Gooding's performance has recontextualized the character as someone who has endured deep personal loss, her parents' deaths, while also possessing an almost supernatural affinity for languages and xenocultural understanding. SNW gave Uhura emotional depth and uncertainty. She wasn't sure Starfleet was her destiny. Now, knowing she eventually becomes an admiral with her own division to run, It adds a poignant symmetry to the arc. This shy but brilliant cadet we met in Strange New Worlds didn't just grow into her role on the Enterprise, she exceeded even her own expectations. She didn't simply survive in Starfleet, she helped shape its future. It also validates Captain Pike's early belief in her. Pike, in SNW, was the first to see that Uhura's passion for language was more than academic, it was foundational to Starfleet's entire mission of exploration and diplomacy. His encouragement resonates more deeply now that we know what Uhura becomes. Why this reveal matters. In Universe, Uhura's promotion to Admiral closes a long-ignored chapter and gives the character her rightful place in the Starfleet pantheon. But more than that, it's a cultural moment. For years, women of color in science fiction, especially black women, have had to settle for supporting roles, often without closure or the same narrative prestige afforded to their male counterparts. Nichelle Nichols' portrayal was the exception that proved the rule, groundbreaking, yet underutilized. By elevating Uhura to Admiral, Star Trek sends a powerful message. The woman who made first contact possible countless times, who diffused linguistic crises, and who held her own on a bridge filled with larger-than-life personalities, was always destined for greatness. She was never just a communications officer. She was a leader. It also retroactively deepens Nichols' legacy. We now know that Uhura's quiet strength didn't just keep the Enterprise together, it inspired generations of Starfleet officers. That makes her final rank not just a promotion, but a poetic reward. Fan reactions and canon implications. Unsurprisingly, fan reactions have been overwhelmingly positive. Social media lit up when the entry dropped in the legacy files, with hashtags like #AdmiralUhura and #FinalIconon trending briefly in the Star Trek corner of the internet. Many fans even called for an animated short or short Treks episode focusing on Uhura's final mission before retirement, perhaps a story of a delicate negotiation where only her experience could prevent a war. Some have even suggested that Uhura could appear in Star Trek Prodigy Season 3 in a flashback or archival hologram form, something that would allow both Gooding and archived audio of Nichols to merge in a beautiful tribute. Others have floated the idea of including her name or portrait in background shots of Starfleet Academy, further anchoring her legacy into modern canon. The implications for canon are wide-ranging. If Uhura remained active into the 2390s, she could have been a colleague of Admiral Janeway, or a distant voice of reason during the height of Dominion War chaos. She might have even contributed to early research into Borg languages or ancient xeno-communication systems that prove vital in newer Star Trek narratives. And of course, this opens the door for novelists and showrunners alike to fill in the timeline from Star Trek VI to Admiral Uhura's retirement. What were her missions? Who were her protégés? What